Sam Bankman-Fraud. Sorry, my bad. Sam Bankrupt-Fried. Sorry, my bad. Sam Bankman-Fried. Well, most people thought that he was the darling of crypto. He's just a simple man. He's going to give all of his money away. He's a genius entrepreneur. Most people had this general outlook of him, but Elon Musk, he could tell that something was going on. So let's watch the video.
To be honest, I've never heard of him. But then a ton of people were telling me he's got, huge amounts of money that he wants to invest in Twitter deal. And I talked to him for about half an hour, and I know my meter was redlining. So I was like, this dude is full. That was my impression. And so then I was like, but everyone, including major investment banks and everyone were talking about him like he's walking on water and has $1 zillion. And I'm like, that's not my impression. And my prediction to the investment banks, which some of it is you've seen on text because it was in a court case, was that that dude is just, there's something wrong, and he does not have capital, and he will not come through. That was my prediction, and that is definitely what happened.
I mean, come on. It was written all over that there was something wrong with this guy. Yeah, he's just got $3 billion just in cash, sitting on the sidelines ready to invest. Where did he get so much cash that he can just freely spend? Elon Musk is the richest man on the planet out of anyone, and he knows that is a lot of money to just have sitting around ready to invest. That is red flag number one. And he also mentioned his BS meter, and I personally believe that every investor needs to have a BS meter. So why? Because there's so much BS in the market, in the news, just everywhere you look, and especially in crypto. It's everywhere. Just go and ask Charlie Munger.
So that you're seeing a lot of delusion. It's partly fraud and partly delusion. That's a bad combination. I don't like either fraud or delusion. And the delusion may be more extreme than the fraud.
Delusion, how so?
Nobody's going to invent a new thing that every 12-year-old kid can be a billionaire or something. He just calls it Munger coin. He starts trading it or something. It's crazy. It's demented.
So yeah, with crypto, just be on your toes with absolutely every exchange, every CEO of that exchange, every coin that is made. Just look for red flags. And if you get multiple or even one red flag, do you want to take that risk? Maybe just get out of it. With SBF and FTX, if you were paying attention, there were multiple red flags that went off, red signals.
I'll tell you an even more explicit signal. He pitched us in that $17 billion round, and I did a Zoom with him. And after the Zoom, I'm like, this doesn't make much sense, but I'll have my team do some work. We did some work, and we sent him a 2-page deck. And we said, here are our recommendations for taking the next step. One was the formation of a board. The second was the creation of dual class stock. The third was some reps and warranties around affiliated transactions and related party transactions. And the person that worked there called us back and literally, I'm not kidding you, said, go yourself. Was quote unquote the response to us. We're like, okay.
I mean, how dare you ask us to form a board, make reps and warranties, do things that are actually sensible, things that would make a reliable platform. How dare you ask us? That's not happening. To me, that is just straight unethical behavior, red flag. And another red flag that I got was just by looking at him. It was that weird leg shake behavior and just the odd general way that he would conduct himself.
Like what you're saying is maybe there's some donations that you have made that you wouldn't make if you knew they were going to be immediately public?
Now, just because you have a weird tic or you have a leg shake or you have a bit of autism, it doesn't necessarily make you an unethical person. I mean, Elon Musk, he has some odd tendencies, some odd way of being. Even I do. But SBF's behavior, it was almost on that extreme end. And just looking at him, you just felt that something wasn't right. And so too was that whole polyamorous situation and the living environment that they had out in the Bahamas. All of them vegans, all of them sleeping with each other, playing video games while in meetings, and then at the same time they're forming this massive crypto company. You know, you add all of this together, it seems weird. So it says, there was an active polyamorous culture among the 10 roommates according to a report by CoinDesk. All 10 are or used to be paired up in romantic relationships with each other. SBF's former girlfriend, Caroline Ellison, served as CEO of Alameda Research, said, none of this non-hierarchical BS. Everyone should have a ranking of their partners. People should know where they fall on the ranking, and there should be vicious power struggles for the higher ranks. Okay, that just sounds wrong. Vicious power struggles? I mean, guys, if you're not seeing red flags just by hearing and seeing these things, I don't know what to say. I don't know. You're probably just completely naive and you haven't been burnt before. But all of this, I know, all of this is easy to say in hindsight. The hard thing, of course, was to predict all of this would happen before it all went down. And one guy who did spot it was someone called Mark Cahodes.
When anyone tries to pin SBF down on where he made his money, you can't get a cogent answer. And in his trade, you needed real money up front in the place on this country crypto arbitrage to make big money.
Right.
And it's simple things as who financed you, because you clearly didn't have the money. And his partner is a guy named Gary Wang. And no one can find shit on Gary Wang. And he's on the board of advisors of Sequoia. And I shit you not. You look up Sequoia stuff, there's a picture of Gary Wang of his back facing a computer. There's no picture of Gary Wang.
So Gary Wang is the same CTO or the Chief Technology Officer of FTX?
Allegedly.
Okay.
Allegedly. But there's a Chief Regulatory Officer of FTX, and his name is Dan Friedberg. And if you Google Dan Friedberg poker scandal, he was the general counsel of, I don't know if it was Ultimate Bets or one of those Me Too sites, where they basically cheated against players. Then you take into account that SBF is bailing out known Ponzi's and frauds in the crypto space. Everyone who's gone bankrupt or is a proven fraud. And somehow through that, Cartoon Network has painted him as the JP Morgan of crypto, which makes absolutely no sense. He's not the JP Morgan of crypto because he can't sit there, look at you straight in the face and explain anything. Nothing of this story fits. And normally in stories, I can get 5 or 6 things that fit and move on. But nothing here fits. Everything reads like this thing is a complete scam. And I think this thing is dirty and rotten to the core.
I mean, damn, he spotted it. Smart man, just a bit of digging, and red flag, this doesn't add up, this doesn't add up. You have a CTO who no one knows who the heck he is. You know, no one's seen him in real life. You know, Gary Wang is probably a fake name. You have a regulator officer who has a history of cheating. So the person regulating the business of FTX is a known cheater, and you got the leader, SBF, who's donating to frauds. I mean, honestly, we all should have spotted it, but big ups to Mark for actually spotting this before it all went down. So I just want to talk about lessons, because every video that I make has a purpose. Everything must be applied to our own lives and our own situation, or else we're just wasting time. So you tell me what your key takeaways were, and I'll tell you mine. So my first thing, guys, this is something that everyone should do if you own any type of crypto, is take your money off the exchanges. Don't trust any exchanges. Some are better than others, obviously, but listen to Elon Musk. Take your money off the exchanges and put it in a cold wallet.
I think there probably is a future for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Doge. I can't really speak to the others, but if you've got one of those three in a cold wallet, not in an exchange, I think, I don't know, my guess is it works out well.
There's just too many dodgy players operating these exchanges. If you leave your money on these exchanges, you are taking the risk, and if things fall apart, you will pay the consequences and you should take ownership, maybe not blame other people. And you'll see what I'm talking about a bit later on in the video. Secondly, with any investment that you make, look at the person operating it, the one who runs the business, whether it's a company or it's a crypto exchange or it's a crypto coin that's been formed. Look for red signals. If someone gives you 50 red signals, guess what, guys? You probably shouldn't trust them. Just a bit of common sense goes a long way when it comes to your investments. But obviously, as we all know, common sense is not common in this day and age. It is now uncommon sense. I mean, if someone running an exchange comes and says, I'm gonna give you a guaranteed 10%, 15% interest, no risk, come on, that's too good to be true. In fact, a rule that I'd like to go by, whenever someone says that there's no risk here, they're most likely either lying, extremely naive, or just completely incompetent. You know, a guaranteed return with no risk? Come on. Now, I want to finish this off by addressing this issue that's come up with creators who promoted FTX. So just full disclosure, I was not one of them, so I guess you could say I am somewhat independent. So creators like Meet Kevin, Graham Stephan, Financial Education, and a lot of the big creators got paid to promote FTX on their channel, and they went forward with it. They decided to do it. Now, obviously, this was detrimental because FTX has collapsed and filed for bankruptcy, and the people who signed up, you know, the viewers of the likes of the people who are promoting it, have suffered because they signed up and they probably lost money. So that is true. And you've got people like the Plain Bagel Richard, who I am a fan of, and CoffeeZilla, who I don't really know that well. They have come out and they have criticized all of those who have promoted FTX. And I say, fair enough. They deserve some criticism. I mean, that's just obvious. Of course they do. But I believe that most of the criticism belongs on you. You have to take responsibility. You had the freedom of choice to choose what exchange to put your money in. You had the freedom to take your money off the exchange, but you didn't. You had the same amount of information available as everyone else did, but you still chose FTX and you left your money on the exchanges, and you were gullible enough to believe that money grows on trees and you'll get a risk-free 10% interest return. At the end of the day, this is just a well-known historical value. You have to take responsibility for your decisions, and next time, choose an exchange that is run by someone just slightly more ethical than SBF. Next time, choose a stockbroker that doesn't have more debt on its balance sheet than it does cash. Next time, use common sense. Obviously, I'm not talking to the people necessarily viewing this video, but I'm talking to the people who lost money on FTX and signed up from these promoters. Take some responsibility. And yeah, I know if you lost money, it is painful to go through, obviously, but just take it as a lesson, and life will teach you that the truest way of learning from something is to go through pain. Pain is the greatest teacher and can also be the greatest motivator to do the right thing in the future. That's how you learn lessons. What do they say? You got to learn the lessons the hard way. So one of the things that I talked about with Sven Carlin was incentives. So do you think the incentives of these creators who were promoting FTX, do you think the incentive was to tell you the best, safest exchange to go to, that they'd researched in depth to find out what this exchange was? Or do you think the incentive was the fact that they got paid $30,000 to put FTX in their video? Well, there you go. You have your answer. And this brings me onto my channel. I have a goal of not having to put sponsors on my channel because I do believe this creates a bit of a weird incentive mix. Sometimes it can create different incentives between the creator and what's actually good for the person viewing the video. So I want to try have no sponsors on my channel, but obviously I still need to earn money, I still need to eat, etc. So I think that the best way for me to do this is by having my own paid academy where viewers can come to get even more content on the two basic goals of this channel, which is 1, how do we make money? And 2, how do we grow this money through investing? So I just want to say, be on the lookout for the Investing Academy, which will be that paid subscription that you can join for extra, more valuable content. And I believe that this will help me with my channel create incentives and intentions that are good for me and are good for the people that view the content. That's kind of what Elon Musk did. He created incentives with Tesla that benefited him, benefited the customer with a great car. It even benefited the environment, and it made Elon a lot of money. So he had his incentives in the right place. Unfortunately, this was not the case with SBF at FTX. Ultimately, his incentives were all in the wrong place, and it does not surprise me that FTX went bankrupt.